What's going on, guys? It's Mitch of TheBottomLineView here to talk about the Michael Vick documentary that was released on Bleacher Report this past week. Basically, Bleacher Report released a 5-part documentary about Michael Vick, capturing the rise, the fall, and the return of number 7, Michael Vick. Of course, the legendary football player of the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles. And when it took an inside look into his personal struggle in his life, his life in the hood and his impact on the NFL, on football, and of the whole culture of hip-hop and a bunch of other things. So I thought it was a very fascinating documentary. It was a very good watch. I would definitely recommend it. If you got to check it out. It's on Bleacher Report. It's free, so you could check it out. And also, if you go to Team Stream, you can go to the apps. You can hit the Michael Vick app, and you can get all of the 5-part series without waiting for them to release it on Bleacher Report. So that's cool. Basically, there was 5 chapters to it, of course. First one was about the origins, him coming up, as a football player in high school, that a lot of, coaches, the one specific high school coach, and then also the college coaches, how they would recruit him because he was so different, talking about how different he was and how unique he was as a player, how dangerous he could have been at the NFL level, and how he was, really. And Chapter 2 talks about how he was a phenom at college, for Virginia Tech, where I believe one year he was 3rd in the Heisman rankings as a freshman, I believe it even was. Freshman or a sophomore. Can't remember which year, but talks about his phenomenal rise in college football, which was very cool, and it was very fun to just watch all the highlights and stuff, basically a rewind of Michael Vick's career. Chapter 3 was Icon, so he stepped up to the NFL level. When he got there, he took the league by storm, basically. It talked about him being on the Madden cover, how he was the most ridiculous Madden player of all time, and if you play Madden, you would know Michael Vick from 04 is the most unstoppable Madden character ever, basically like Bo Jackson in Tecmo Bowl, and it talks about how he would do these electrifying plays, how he's the most exciting player in the league, how everybody would want to watch him, how Lil Wayne was on there, there are a bunch of other different hip hop artists, talking about how if Michael Vick was not in your music video at the time, especially if you were in Atlanta in the scene, it wasn't a cool video. So it was very awesome to see Michael Vick being the face of Atlanta, being the face of that community and that culture, which was awesome. Chapter 4 was about his conviction. It's titled Convict. So basically when he did his dogfighting stuff, talks about why and how that happened, and it talks about the culture of where he's from in Virginia. A lot of that dogfighting stuff went on, and he basically fell into it because of the culture that he lived in and how he was basically raised. And it talks about how he would always go back to Virginia during his years playing with the Falcons, which I thought was kind of interesting. And yeah, there was a lot of different nuances and little things that you may have never heard before about Michael Vick in the documentary, because I've heard a lot about the dogfighting stuff and about Michael Vick in general, because I'm a big fan of Michael Vick. He's one of my favorite players ever, so I studied him a lot, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's in this documentary that you may not get anywhere else, so it's definitely worth the check. Chapter 5 talks about the return of Michael Vick, going to the Philadelphia Eagles. Talk about, basically, Vick was in this a lot, obviously, it's his own documentary, and he was talking about how he had to come back to the NFL, not mostly because he needed to prove that he could play again, but because he wanted to prove that he was still a good person, and that he changed as a person. And I think everybody can say that Michael Vick has changed as a person since his days as a Falcon and since the dogfighting stuff, for sure. And he basically became a mentor to a lot of players in the NFL, especially now and a couple years ago, and at Pittsburgh and in New York and every place that he's been. He's kind of become a mentor across the league, even if he's not starting. It also talks that he proved himself in Philadelphia, that he could become more of a good passer. Donovan McNabb was in this documentary a lot because they're good friends. Talks about how McNabb and Reed took Vick under their wing and basically taught him how to become a better pro. That was some pretty cool stuff. And yeah, I think that all the episodes were awesome. It just shows Michael Vick's impact on the game of football, and it was very engaging. So you should check it out. That's my review for the documentary. Now let's talk a little bit in depth about the statistics and Michael Vick being one of the legends of NFL, the game of football, because this is an interesting discussion. Obviously, Michael Vick missed 2 prime years of his career where he could have been putting up big statistics. He was the best, he is and was the best scrambling quarterback that we'll probably ever see in the NFL. Like his speed, his ability to run like a 4.25, 4.3, just at the quarterback position. They talked about the rare ability that he could throw. Obviously, he was a lefty, and the rare flick of the wrist that he had, the ability just on the run to throw the ball 60 yards down the field. And when that was happening in Madden, it may have seemed ridiculous, but Michael Vick could pretty much do that in real life, which he was just such a great athlete at the quarterback position. He just took the game over, and it was so electrifying, so exciting to watch. And he basically goes past statistics. He did win. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler. He won Comeback Player of the Year when he came back, and he is the all-time rushingest quarterback in the league in league history. He has the most rushing yards in league history. So, Michael Vick is a legend. I don't think there's any debate to it. Where does he rank? It's a very interesting discussion. I just think that Michael Vick's legend will grow over time because, people will look at the statistics, and statistics don't always carry over. You look at Dan Marino, and his statistics were amazing in his day, but now that quarterbacks are throwing all these yards and stuff, you can't always compare quarterbacks by statistics. So maybe the impact on the game will be a little bit bigger for Michael Vick. But even if you look at the statistics, I believe in 2010 or 2011 as an Eagle, his first full year as a starter as an Eagle, he was incredible. He had 21 touchdowns. He only threw 6 picks. He had over 33,000 yards, and he had 1,000 yards rushing with 9 rushing touchdowns. That's incredible. He had a bunch of great rushing years. He didn't score that many touchdowns rushing like Cam Newton does, but he put up a ton of yards. And he was never really a great passer, so he did become more of that as an Eagle. And one thing about Vick was he was a guy that wasn't going to last very long in his career because he always got banged up because of the style of play he played. But he's definitely the best scrambler of all time, best rushing quarterback of all time. Probably will never change for me personally. No matter how many statistics Russell Wilson or Cam Newton puts up, I don't think it's going to change for me just because of the way that he influenced the game of football. He influenced the guys after him. They influenced the coaches even to pick guys like Russell Wilson in the 3rd round, take a chance on Cam Newton first overall because of what Michael Vick did. So I think, Michael Vick's one of the greatest players ever. You should definitely check out the Bleacher Report documentary. And that's it, guys. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's Mitch, The Bottom Line View. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, you leave a like and subscribe for more NFL content. Peace out, guys.